Good afternoon and welcome to the Humidor Report. Today is actually a special edition of the Humidor Report because for once we're, well, outside the humidor. And we're going to take the opportunity today to kind of show you a little bit more of what we do here outside of the realm of cigars. And that's largely going to include pipes and pipe tobacco. Now, I want to take an opportunity for those of you who have not come in and had the opportunity to meet him yet. I want to introduce y'all to Joseph Melancon. Joseph's a Southeast Texas native that we've got here on staff at Cigar Club Southeast Texas that is really helping us do a lot on the pipe tobacco front. Joseph's a member of the Houston Pipe Club. He's been a pipe smoker for many, many years now, I assume. So if you do have any questions about pipes, about pipe tobacco, and you happen to see this guy working, by all means take some time to chew on his ear and get a little bit of that info when it comes to the fascinating world of pipes. Now, pipes and pipe tobacco clearly are a whole different creature than the tobaccos that you use with cigars. So we want to kind of pick Joseph's mind today, maybe answer some of those questions for you guys in advance to help y'all understand a little bit more about pipes and pipe tobacco. Now, when it comes to pipes, I guess the first question that I wanted to ask is maybe what are some of the misconceptions about pipes and pipe tobacco?
I think one of the biggest probably misconceptions is that whenever you light a pipe, you need to smoke it all the way from the first light all the way down to the bottom of the bowl in one light. Mm-hmm. You can light it as many times as you need to. That's not a big deal in pipes. So basically, as many times as you need to light it, that's how many times it's good.
But you do want to smoke the whole bowl.
Some people smoke the whole bowl, some people smoke half a bowl. Whenever the tobacco is getting to a point where you don't like the flavor anymore, you're fine tossing it. You know, life's too short to smoke bad tobacco.
Right.
So you don't have to smoke the whole bowl. Some pipe tobaccos actually won't burn down all the way to ash. You'll end up with some dottle and some. A lot of times that's going to be with aromatics. They're a little wetter. But whenever you're good, you can pretty much dump the bowl.
And that is something that I guess kind of makes at least a little bit of something similar to the cigar world, that once that tobacco goes out and cools off, it's just not going to taste like it did when you lit it the first time.
Well, most pipe tobaccos actually, you can leave them. There's something called delayed gratification technique where some people will light a pipe up before they go to sleep, smoke it for maybe 5 minutes, let it go out, and they'll come back to it the next morning. Unlike a cigar, you know, anytime you let it go out for any point in time, like you mentioned, it's going to taste a little harsher. Very few pipe tobaccos actually, there are a few, but very few do taste worse when you go back to them. So you can let them sit for a little bit, you know, if you need to go do something.
And when it comes to, as far as the different types of tobacco, we're dealing with completely different tobaccos than we are dealing with in the cigar world. Am I right?
You're right. So there's going to be three main broad categories. You're going to have Englishes, aromatics, and then pretty much everything else, which is going to be Virginias, Burleys, Virginia Periques. What separates Englishes from the rest, they have a component called latakia. Mm-hmm. It is smoked in barns over a fire, cured that way, and it's going to have kind of a pine fire type smell to it. A little smoky, but depending on how you do it, some people like to divide their pipes into three categories. Some people will smoke everything in any pipe. It really doesn't matter to them. It's all, like with cigars, a matter of personal preference.
And talking about the pipes themselves, and one thing they can differ is the actual size and shape of the pipe. And I know a lot of pipe smokers, they'll have, like you said, one pipe committed to aromatics, one committed to Englishes. Is there anything about the size and the shape of the pipe that correlates to what type of tobacco is better smoked in that pipe?
It's all a matter of preference, but in general, you know, a lot of times the larger pipes, things that have multiple components versus, say, a straight Virginia blend, if it has multiple components, usually in a wider bowl or a bigger bowl, you'll see a little more of the interplay between components in that. Okay.
And to talk about, I guess, some of the pipes that we've gotten in, this is some of the first kind of higher-end pipes that we brought in over here since we opened here in Southeast Texas. Can you tell us a little bit about these brands? These have all been brands that have been around for a while and are pretty well known.
Oh, yeah. So Peterson's come out of Ireland, and then Savinelli and Rossi are Italian-made pipes. Rossi actually owns Savinelli actually owns Rossi now. Mm-hmm. Great pipes to start out with.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, like with the Rossi's here, it's a little bit cheaper, you know, for sure. We've got these guys starting here in probably that, $55, I guess, to $70 range on those. And then you move up into the Savinellis and the Petersons, which most of those are going to be more around $100, give or take. Some of them up to $125 or so. And a lot of people don't understand kind of the idea of spending some $100+ on a pipe. And the biggest reason for that is about briar quality. It's an artisan product, number one. They're handcrafted. They do take a lot of time to make, but that higher quality briar, that harder briar, is going to last a lot longer. It's basically the harder, the higher quality briar you get, the less odds that you get of that briar splitting over time, right?
Less chance of burnout. You're going to notice a lot of nicer finishing touches on a pipe, so maybe the mouthpieces are going to be turned a little finer. There's going to be less rough edges. Finishing touches like the ferrules on any of the pipes, silver or nickel usually. With the Rossi pipes from Savinelli, a lot of those pipes were actually Savinelli lines before they became Rossi lines. So before Savinelli bought the Rossi name back, they had their own lines, like the Vittoria down at the bottom over here was originally the Savinelli Baronet Bruyères. Now it's going to be the Rossi Vittorias.
Okay, very cool. And we got some new pipe tobacco in as well. Cornell and Diehl is one of the bigger names that these days can be very popular, very much on the rise. And the 6 that we have actually here are the first Cornell and Diehl products that we've actually brought into the store. We do have some Sutliff tobacco as well as far as your bulk tobacco goes, and quite a bit more of that on the way. But give us real quick here before we're done, if you can tell us a little bit about the C and D blends that we have here in the tins.
So we do have 6 blends here. We're going to start off with Autumn Evening, which is going to be a Virginia Cavendish that is going to have a maple topping on it. We're going to move down to Bourbon Blue, which is going to be a Virginia, Perique, and some dark fired Kentucky. It's got a nice little bourbon note to it, a little bourbon added. And then we're moving down to Briar Fox, which is going to be a Burley and Virginia blend. Then we're going to step over to the Pirate Cake, which is going to be a very heavy English. It's got around 75% Latakia in it. From there, we're going to go to Bijou, which is a Virginia Perique with a little bit of Catarini leaf, and it's got just a little bit of honey to it. Not so much that it's an aromatic, but it's a nice, pleasant addition to the tobacco itself. And going on from there, we're going to have Chenette's Cake, which is actually what I'm smoking right now, which is going to be a Virginia Perique blend.
And Chenet being the guy who actually created that Perique fermentation process, the Perique tobacco coming from Louisiana. We've talked about that in a few other cigar applications as well, but better known here in the pipe world. So this is going to be just kind of a brief and cursory introduction to some of the new pipes, some of the tobaccos we have. But mainly I wanted to get a chance for you guys to, if you hadn't met Joseph, now to introduce this guy to you. He's a wealth of knowledge on the pipe front, and even with my 20 years now in the tobacco world, I still find a lot of great lessons from him when it comes to pipes, pipe tobacco. So we're thrilled to have him on board. But by all means, if you're curious about pipes, here's your guy. So come in and check out what we've got happening over here on Walden Road, not just with our cigars, but what we're doing with pipes and pipe tobacco as well. So thanks, Joseph. I appreciate you taking some time with us today, and thanks to everybody here for tuning in to the Humidor Report. We'll be back with you same time, same channel next week, and until that time, we'll see you at the club.